When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject: The Wedding. User: 0FLWR77. Posted March 8, 1999.
I didn't want to go. I swear to God, I didn't want to go. The invite came in the mail, heavy cream cardstock with embossed lettering, real fancy, real old school. No return address, no RSVP card. Just a time, a date, and a place. The ceremony will begin at dusk, March 15th at the Old Godfrey Estate. No year, just the date. I hadn't talked to Joanna in 6 years. She moved out west after high school, said she was gonna live her desert witch dream in Santa Fe or some shit like that. But before that, though, we were inseparable. Childhood friends, teenage rebels, small-town weirdos in a place that didn't know what to do with us. She introduced me to tarot cards and clove cigarettes. I showed her how to siphon gas and cut class without setting off the attendance bell. But we cracked in senior year. Over a guy, of course, Ellis. He was too smooth, too quiet, mysterious in the kind of way that makes dumb girls think he's deep when really he just doesn't like people. He bounced back and forth between us like a ghost playing tetherball, and when Joanna said she saw something dark in him, something old, I told her she was being dramatic. She said I was blind. I said she was jealous. Well, she left town 2 weeks after graduation without saying goodbye. So yeah, I was surprised to get the invite, surprised she still had my address, surprised she was getting married at all, especially to Ellis. But something about it, I don't know, it was like I couldn't not go, like when you smell something and it reminds you of your grandmother's house and all of a sudden you're crying in a Walmart aisle. It's that kind of pull. The old Godfrey place sits out past the river bends, just out of Comfort, Texas, where the pavement turns to gravel and the gravel turns to dirt and the dirt turns to silence. Nobody has lived there for decades, as far as I know at least. Folks said it used to be a vineyard, then a private hunting lodge, then nothing. Just a big stone house full of wasps and bad vibes. I got there around 6. The sun was hanging low, bleeding orange through the oak trees. There were cars, not a lot, but enough that I figured I hadn't imagined the whole thing. I parked behind a dusty green Bronco and a white Lexus that looked like it'd never seen a dirt road in its life. Everyone was wearing black. Tuxedos, long dresses, lace gloves, like something out of a Victorian portrait. Some of the women had veils, real ones. No sequins, no bullshit, just draped over their faces like they were mourning. It did not feel like a wedding. It felt like a wake. I, on the other hand, was wearing a red cocktail dress, only one I had that still fit, and people looked at me like I'd farted during the Our Father. Ceremony was out back behind the house, rows of antique chairs facing a small wooden arch covered in dead vines. There were candles, hundreds of them, flickering in glass jars and old lanterns. No electricity, no music, and no talking. The groom stood at the front. Ellis, pale, sweating through his collar, tugging at his sleeves, shifting side to side like he was about to bolt. He didn't look like a man in love. He looked like a man at a sentencing. Then the bride came out, Joanna. She looked exactly the same, and that was only the first weird thing, because it wasn't kind of the same, not aging gracefully. I mean, the exact same as she had the night I last saw her in '91. Hair down, black as coal, eyes sharp, pale skin glowing under the candlelight. But she wasn't wearing white. She wore a black gown, floor-length, tight at the waist, old-fashioned with a high lace collar and long sleeves like she'd stepped out of a damn funeral home, a black veil over her face, and when she walked, it was so smooth. Too smooth, too slow, like each step had been choreographed by something not human. No one clapped, no one stood, and no one smiled. They said their vows in some language I didn't recognize, harsh syllables, ancient sounding, like Latin crossed with a hiss. Ellis didn't look like he understood it either. And then, when it was done, when the veil was lifted, he didn't lean in and kiss her. He stepped back, eyes wide and shaking. But everyone else stood and started humming. That's the only word I've got for it. Humming, low and vibrating like a beehive behind drywall. Well, this was too fucking weird, so I turned and got the hell out. I didn't wait for the reception, didn't ask questions, and I drove straight home with my headlights off for a full mile before I realized I couldn't see. I didn't feel right for days. My mirror fogged up for no reason. My dog wouldn't come in the room when I was alone, and when I tried to throw away the invitation, it was gone. Just gone. This morning, I got a letter. No envelope, just folded paper under my windshield wiper. It said, "Thank you for attending. Yours will be soon."
Subject, Knoxville. User, Lim0N11. Posted, June 3, 1998.
They told me it was stage 4 adenocarcinoma of the lung. They always say it like that, don't they? Wrap it up in Latin like it's something respectable, like it isn't just rot with a name. I never smoked a day in my life either. I couldn't stand the smell. I used to hold my breath walking through the break room at the old post office just so I wouldn't catch it in my clothes. even made my husband stop chewing Red Man before I said I'd marry him. But the doctor just looked at my scan like it made sense, like I was supposed to be dying, like something had been growing slow inside me for years and now it was ready. I didn't cry. Not in the office, not in the car, not when I got home to the little white house on Cherry Street where I've lived for the last 40 years. I just sat down on the porch with the air barely moving and tried to figure out what I'd always known. Because the truth is, I felt it coming, felt it building, felt it gnawing through me ever since that summer in Birmingham when I was a girl. Ever since the slag heap took Jerry Timmons and my brothers started talking in his sleep and Darnell disappeared without a sound. Hell, ever since Ray hung himself at 62 and my mama found the body and didn't speak for 3 days. I got out right after that, turned 18, packed a bag, and boarded a Trailways bus headed east. Never even looked back out the window. Birmingham was smoke and rust and sorrow, and by then our house was more tomb than home. My daddy walked around like his bones were too heavy for his skin. My mama kept her hands busy with nothing, scrubbing already clean baseboards or folding towels so sharp they could cut you. We didn't talk about Ray. We didn't really talk about anything, so I left. I landed in Knoxville with nothing but a wrinkled birth certificate and $23. Got a job waiting tables at a breakfast joint, met my husband 3 months later, and stayed. We had a simple life. 2 girls, a screened-in porch, Christmases with ham instead of turkey. I kept myself busy. Church, work, baking, making sure the past never caught up. But it did. It always does. After the diagnosis, I sat on the couch for 2 days straight. Didn't answer the phone, didn't go to church. I watched the shadows move across the walls like they were waiting. I kept coughing, not like a normal cough either. It was deep, sticky, black stuff sometimes. They said it was blood. I knew better. On the 3rd day, I pulled out the old yellow pages, flipped through the spiritual services section, past all the chiropractors turned evangelists and the healing hands ladies who charged by the hour, and there she was, Madame Serafina. No last name, just an address and a line that said, "She speaks with those who have not yet gone." Her place was above a pawn shop near Magnolia and Vine. Smelled like mothballs and motor oil. I took the stairs slow, knees aching like they always do when it rains. I didn't knock, just stood there, staring at the faded gold letters on the frosted glass door. It opened on its own. "You've brought it with you," she said, like she already knew. She wasn't what I expected. No turban, no tarot cards. Just an old woman with skin like paper and eyes like burnt sugar. The room was warm, but not cozy. It felt tight, like something in the air was coiled up and waiting. I sat while she poured tea that neither of us drank. "You've been burning," she said, "for a long time." I nodded and she closed her eyes, took one long, slow breath, and when she opened them again, her voice wasn't hers anymore. "Hey, Mabe." I swear, the light in the room flickered. My throat closed. That was Ray's voice. Not just the sound, but the rhythm. The way he used to talk when he was little, when he was still my protector, before all that evil. "You remember the attic?" he asked. How could I not? I found that box when I was 9, thought it was treasure, just like in the movies, but it wasn't. It was filth. Photos of a little girl I didn't know doing things I didn't understand but knew they were wrong. I didn't scream, I just walked down the stairs and showed Mama, and Ray was gone 2 days later. No note, no goodbye. He came back months later with his eyes all wrong and started talking about voices in the slag and bones that walk. He was never right again. "I thought you were here to forgive me," he said, voice coming out of that poor woman's mouth like smoke from a cracked pipe. I couldn't speak, just stared at him, at her, wanting to slap him and hold him at the same time, because the truth is, I hated him for what he did, and I hated myself more for still loving him. "But that ain't what I'm sorry for," he said. "Not that. That was wicked. I know, I carry that, but what's killing you now, that's something else." I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms. "Then what?" I whispered. "I cursed you," he said, "that day on the slag." He told me he went back after Jerry vanished, after Darnell and Booger were gone. Said he couldn't leave it alone, said something had spoken to him from deep inside the slag. Not voices like people, but something older. Said it offered him peace, knowledge, power. He said he didn't speak the deal out loud, just thought it, just offered. Blood for silence, family for peace, me. He said he thought it would stop the dying, thought maybe if he gave up what it wanted, it would leave the rest alone, but he said it lied. "It took me first," he said. "It got in my bones, but I didn't rot right. I ran. I ended it before it could finish, and now it's looking for another door." His voice cracked then, broke like a radio losing signal. "It wants you, Mabe. It's been burning through you slow all this time." I asked him why. Why come now? "Because you're the last one. I can't stop it, but you might. If you speak the truth, say what happened not just to someone who listened, but out loud, to the dark, to the thing." Serafina gasped and fell forward, catching herself on the table. When she looked up, she was herself again, pale and shaking. She wouldn't look me in the eye. I didn't ask her for a cure. There's no cure, I know that. There's just the truth and what comes after. I left quietly and walked home.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.